Hi friends, Tiffany here. Welcome to my quilting life. To celebrate our nation's 250th birthday, hopefully by 4th of July, I could have this done and you should be watching. I have designed this quilt for that special occasion, but you don't have to make it for just the 4th of July because I'm going to give you the ideas to make it for anything you want to make it. As long as I show you how to make it, you can choose whatever fabrics you want for this project. So, as always, a verbal visual video here for you. I'm going to tell you what you need. So, in today's video, I'm going to use red, white, and blue. For my white, for the white, you need 1.5 yards. Now, I didn't have 1.5 yards of this, so I'm substituting with 2 prints, 1 yard of this print and 1/2 yard of this print. So this will be for my star points. You are going to cut 48 5.5-inch squares. That's 48 5.5-inch squares of this white, of one of them, which is your 1 yard cut. And then from my extra white, I'm going to cut 24 5-inch squares. So 48 5.5-inch squares and 24 5-inch squares. So 5.5, 5-inch. All right, I'm going to set that aside. So again, 1.5 yards if you want to just do one color, or split it into, you need 1 yard at least for your 5.5-inch ones, and you need that 1/2 yard for your 5-inch squares. From your blue and your red, you're going to need some fabric, scraps, or whatever you want to use. You're going to need 7 1/2-yard cuts of your red and 6 1/2-yard cuts of your blues. 7 of red, 6 of blue, 1/2-yard cuts. From the blue, you're going to, I'm going to show you my blue fabrics here. Again, this is all scraps. You are going to cut 1 strip from each of these 6 fabrics, 1 strip from each of these fabrics that is 5.5 inches. You're going to subcut that down into 48 5.5-inch squares. So 48 5.5-inch squares from 1 5.5-inch cut off of each of your 6 fabrics. Then the remainder of the rest of your 6 fabrics, you're going to cut into 5-inch strips, and you're going to subcut that down into 84 5-inch squares. So again, 6 1/2-yard cuts of your blue. You're going to cut 1 strip off of each of your 6 1/2-yard cuts. That's 5 1/2 inches. And then subcut that down, all of that at once, into 48 blue 5.5-inch squares. Then the remainder of the rest of your 1/2-yard cuts, cut 5-inch strips, subcutting that down into 84 blue 5-inch squares. Then from your red, you have 7 1/2-yard cuts of your red. And you're going to go ahead and from the red, you are just going to trim it all down into 5-inch strips, then subcut those 5-inch strips into 157 5-inch squares. One more time, from your 7 red 1/2-yard cuts, you're gonna cut it all into 5-inch strips, and then you're going to subcut those 5-inch strips into 157 total red 5-inch squares. So we're going to go ahead now, and I'm going to just chop everything up so that I have my 48 white squares towards my 1/2 square triangles that are 5.5 inches. and then my 24 white 5-inch squares. And then I'm going to cut again my 48 5.5-inch from my blues. That's one strip from each. And then the rest cut down into 84 5-inch squares. And then from the red, we're going to cut 157 red 5-inch squares. So I'm going to go ahead now and cut all this up, and I'll meet you back here and we'll start piecing this together. So now that I have cut out all of my squares, I'm going to repeat what the directions are one more time. 1.5 yards of white, or whatever color you want to be your stars. I split mine 1 yard for the 5.5-inch squares so that I can get 48 white 5.5-inch squares, and then 1/2 yard for my extra 24 white 5-inch squares. Then from your 6 half-yard cuts of blue, I cut one strip that was 5.5 inch and subcut down into 48 blue 5.5-inch squares. And then all the rest of my half yards, I cut down into 84 total. There's more than that here. I cut it all up. 84 5-inch squares. And then from your 7 half-yard cuts of red, you need 157 red 5-inch squares. So just cut it all up into 5-inch squares, and whatever's left can go into your stash. So I just cut it all up. So there is that. So 1.5 yards for your white, or you can split it. 6 half-yard cuts of blue and 7 half-yard cuts of red. And the numbers are quite easy. So now that we've got those out of the way, the blue and red I don't need at this moment. I need my blue 5.5-inch squares, my white 5.5-inch squares, and I don't need my white regular squares yet. We're going to take the 5.5 of the white, the 48 of them, and then the 48 5.5-inch blue, and we're going to make half square triangles by putting 2 of them right sides together like this. We're going to draw a line. I don't draw the line. I use my invisible line like I always say. But you're going to draw your line, and so on both sides with a scant 1/4 inch of your line. And we're going to make 2.5 time half square triangles. Now, if you don't know how to make those and you need a refresher, I do have a video linked in the description below this video so that you can follow that and learn how to make your 2 at a time half square triangles. So I'm going to go ahead now, and I'm going to make 2 at a time I'm going to make 2 at a time half square triangles, and then I'm going to trim them, cut them in half, and then trim them to 5-inch squares. So 5-inch half square triangles is our goal here, and we're making a whole bunch of them, like 90 something, whatever 48 and 48 equal. I'm not doing math today. We're just going to go to the machine. I'm going to sew this up, and then I'll meet you back here once my half square triangles are made. Okay, so now all of my parts and pieces are made. Again, half square triangles. Link to do half square triangles if you're new to this is in the description below the video. And then I have all my squares, which is now just 5-inch squares because I trimmed all of my half square triangles down to 5 inches. So now, right here is an image of what we are making. So this right here is what we are making. But we're going to divide this into 4 quadrants, as well as a center row and a center row for the bottom and the top. So I'm going to put on the screen now 4 quadrants. These are the 4 quadrants that we are going to be making. I will insert the picture again in whole and when the video is made all the way. That way you can see. So I'm going to insert that. But we're going to be making it into 4 pieces, as you see on the screen, and then they're like mirror images, except they're missing the middle. Okay, so since this is 19 across by 19 down to get an 85 by 85 quilt, it's not divisible, so we had to improvise. And now I'm just going to use the chart now on my phone, and I'm going to go ahead now and start putting the quadrants together by using my phone. So I'm going to speed this part up while I lay these out, because I didn't even have the picture ready. Go figure, you know, I gotta go find it. There it is right there. So I'm going to go ahead now that I have this divisible, and I'm going to put my quadrants on the wall one at a time. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Nine across by 9. That's my first section. It seems so hard, but I am working from a small screen instead of having my computer screen right in front of me or printing it out because I don't have a printer. So I'm using my phone. It works. You could still do it. So yeah, I laid it 9 by 9. This is what it looks like. I'm going to sew this one together, and then I'm going to mark this unit as A, because the next one is the opposite. So it's a rotated version, but you're not matching it up because there's a center row that we have not even put together yet. So I'm going to go ahead now and sew this up as a row. I'm going to sew 1 row, 2 row, all the way, making sure that this is my top corner over here. And then I'm going to mark this as A. I'm going to put a little tag that says this is the A section. And then I'm going to build the B section, which will go on the other side. C will go down on the bottom, and D section will go down on the following bottom on the opposite side. And then I'll build the 2 sides, which I have in my pattern. I have the 2 sides hooked together, and then 1 long piece for the bottom. So for top to bottom. Then I also am going to press all these seams to the right, and I'm going to carry that on in the next one. Then I'm going to press all the seams to the left in the next row, carrying it on in the next one. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, all the way down. Even those rows that are going to connect the top to the bottom, I'm also going to press. So this would be right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. The next one would be left, so I'm going to start with right again when I make unit C. Same with unit D. So I'm going to go ahead now. I'm going to put this together, and then the rest of them I'm just not going to put on camera because it's going to take forever for me to accomplish all of this. So I'm going to go ahead and get started and make this panel. Now that I've got all the rows pieced, I'm just going to hook them together. This 2 together, 2 together, 2 together, 2 together, hook 4, 4, and then hook my last one. And you know what I mean. You get where I'm going here. So I'm going to go ahead now and put these 2 together, then those, then those, then those, and try to keep everything in order. All these seams I'm going to press up. So I'm just going to press every single seam up towards the top. That way when I add my middle, it's going to go down, and then when I add my other side, everything's going to go up again. That way everything is in the opposite direction, and it will be on the bottom as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Now that I have this segment done, this segment is done. I'm going to go ahead before I do anything, move, turn, twist, anything, and I'm going to go A on a Post-it note. And then I'm going to take a pin, like an actual safety pin, so that it doesn't go nowhere. And I'm going to hook my A to right there on this top corner, because that's the top corner I'm paying attention to. When I do B, it's going to be in the top corner. That way I know every time where my top corner is. So I got my A mark on here. I'm going to go ahead now and piece the rest of these panels off camera. And then when it comes time to do the center, I will show you how to do that. So I'll see you in a second. So now I'm at that point where I need to connect it all together. I inserted pictures prior to me stopping right here and talking to you of the sections on their own. Maybe that'll make things easier. But now I got my handy dandy computer here, if it'll work, you know, because the screen went off. And I have my design on the computer. And now I need to build this empty section here and this empty section here, as it shows in the picture. And then to connect the two halves, I'm going to build the center. The center has to be built from top to bottom, so the pieces are going to lay differently. So when you go to lay everything out, make sure you pay attention to that. So I'm going to start with this side right here, the section between A and C, and then this is B and D. So I'm going to do A and C section first, making sure that it's laid out according to the picture properly. I'm not even going to whatever unless I think that I'm going to have a same blue next to each other, but honestly I don't think so. I'm just going to make sure the orientation is correct, follow my image, then hook the two together, then put B and D together, again laying it out according to my image, then I'll hook them together. At this point, lifting and everything, that's what the husband can do, to put everything where it goes. So I'll have him do that. But for now, I'm going to just sew. As my picture shows me, it is outlined out so you can see what's in that section and which way things need to face. So I'm going to go ahead and sew this up and then hook them together. I do think it's a lot easier to have everything on one screen, if that makes any sense, on a bigger screen than on the on the cell phone. So if you have a tablet or a computer, pull the image up on that instead. But as you saw in the beginning, I still was able to complete the first section from a cell phone. It's just a little bit harder because you got to zoom in, zoom out, zoom in, zoom out, and figure out where you are. Other than that, everything is pressed up. Everything is pressed up, 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 up. And then it goes right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. And then this goes right, left, all the way down, because this row that's going to go in between the two, those are going to get pressed towards the left. So right now I'm just paying attention to my screen at the same time, putting this together. And I did have squares left over. I did have lots of squares left over, so I can choose what works for whatever, but I'm not even looking because it alternates red, blue. So there's no sense in even looking. I just make it the best of what I can. When you look at it as a whole, it's not even going to matter. So this is for this section, and I'm going to press it all to the left. Once it is pressed, I'm just going to place it on the wall right here. Then I'm going to work on the other side. So I'm going to grab, starts with the blue, it goes red, and blah, blah, blah. Follow your picture. Again, I'm going to press this row to the left. Once it is pressed, place it on your design wall, board, wherever you are doing this. Hope that it stays. And now I'm going to work from top to bottom and get that done. That way, all I have to do is have them pulled down, hook these two together, and then put my center in. And then we'll be done. So I'm going to pay attention to my picture. Blue, then red. This blue. Nope, it's got to go this way. See, I almost did that. I almost pieced it as if I was going to the side, but this row is up and down. So it's blue, then red, then pay attention. The blue is in the top, so it would be this direction. And then as if I'm looking at it, I'm going to go ahead now and place my white underneath that. And again, I'm pretending that it's in this direction. So it goes this way. So now that I've pieced it, there should be 19. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So now, as it sits in front of me, even though it's supposed to go up and down, I'm going to press towards the right. Or if you're looking at your quilt, this row that we just made is going to go pressed down, because remember, everything else is pressed up. So this is going to press down. When we add this, we'll press up, and when we add that, we'll press up. Same difference. So this whole row is going to go down. So I'm going to go ahead and just press it to the right. Now I can reach with one arm to put this up there because I want to make sure that I have these in the correct position. And if I go from top to bottom all the way on the floor, it's alternating. These two line up with this. And then if I go down, the star lines up down there as well. And it has a red in the middle where everything connects. So now I'm going to go grab the husband. He's going to pull these down for me, and I'm going to sew them. Once this is sewn, I'm going to press the seam up. Thank you, that's all I needed. Now I'm just going to go ahead and press this one up, and then I'm going to add the bottom to this one and the bottom to the other one, which is on the side of the camera, because now nothing's going to fit on the wall. And the handy dandy husband already got the high points down for me. So I'm going to press this again up. Everything is going up on the two sides, and then the center got pressed down. So I'm just going to hook these together after I press this, and we'll work on that middle. So now I'm just going to take this, oops, making sure I still have my little tags on here that this is a unit, so this should be in the top left corner. So I'm going to make sure that was A hooks to C. So I'm just going to grab C, and I could see that it says C. I'm going to put them right sides together, hooking the two panels together. I'm going to be very cautious because my doctor did say not to lift anything with my arm all by its lonesome like that. And this is also kind of getting heavy. So I'm going to make sure it's all like really close next to me. And just be very careful when nesting my seams. Now that this is sewn, I'm going to press the seam up because everything is going up. Now that this is sewn, I'm just going to set it aside and grab the B unit that we're going to hook the D unit to. Repeating myself. So I'm just going to grab the D unit, making sure that my little tag is at the top. Again, I kept them on. And after I put this together, it won't go on the wall, so we'll go out to the living room and take a look. Because I won't be able to get it quilted. Not in time. But at least the top will be ready. And that's all that matters at this point. Because if you're like me, you have a bunch of tops that need to be quilted. And I am that person who has a bunch of tops that need to be quilted. All right. Bringing the whole thing over so that I don't have to tuck and pull. Sewing a little bit differently than normal. Wrinkling everything. All right, let me sew this seam. Now that this seam is sewn, I'm going to press the seam up, and then I'm going to grab the A and C section so that way I can hook the center to that and then hook this to the center, and that's that. I'm going to make sure that my A tag is in the top left still. I'm not turning or moving anything. This is going to be a really long seam. I'm going to go ahead and grab that down. Put it right sides together. Now, all of this big panel, the seams are going up, and all of this, my seams are going down. So the whole entire thing should nest right up, be perfect, and then we'll press it. It doesn't matter which way. At this point, you can press away from, towards the center. It don't matter now. That is clearly upon you. Kind of just like the half square triangles. I left that up to you to press towards the dark, press your seams open, whatever you want to do. That one is your choice because it is your quilt and you piece it your way. But these seams go up and down, side to side. I couldn't imagine having to nest all those seams with them all pressed open. So they lock nicely when pressed side to side. If you haven't seen my video of my 2-color quilt, I 100% show you exactly how to piece block to block to block and nest your seams perfectly with just putting them from one side to the other. This video and the half square triangle video go 2 and 2 because we now have combined plain squares with half square triangles. Don't know what we're going to do next, but now we've combined the two. And I'll put a link in the description below to both those videos. Again, it doesn't matter which way, I'm just going to press it. So I'm just probably going to hold it up and press this away from it. Now that that's sewn, it's really, really long. Well, I think like 85 inches long. All right, I'm done with this guy. Don't need that no more, so I'm just going to put it out of my way. Move this kind of onto the table. I'm going to make sure my A is up in the top left still. So now I'm going to make sure that I put my B on this top side. No! Notice everything just tries to fall off the table. That's how it works. You can pin this if you need to at everything you want to pin, but I am not going to. Just going to put the two sides together. They're in opposite directions. You never realize how much muscle you actually use doing all this. I moved the computer and I irritated myself. I sewed this and I irritated myself. Okay, grab that and together pull both those sides. Now, again, it doesn't matter which way I press it. Now that this is done, I'm going to go ahead and find my little alphabet things, and I'm going to take them off. And then we're going to go and take a look at this. Because again, I'm not quilting it right now. And I'm also making a mess of pins. I did use safety pins to put these on because I knew that it was going to get moved a lot. You know you're going to move it a lot, just put safety pins in. All right. Now this is technically not directional. I did put my stripe fabric in all the same direction. Well, at least hopefully I did, because I wasn't really paying attention. Maybe I should have paid more attention, but either way. Anyway, I'm going to go take this. We're going to lay it out on the floor. If you want, at this point, you can go around it with a 2.5-inch border on all 4 sides, and then again with a 5-inch border to finish it off. That's if you want this to be king size. Right now, it's mostly queen size, mostly. It'll fit on a full-size bed, lovely. So, like I said, you can go around it again. This should be 85 by 85 or 85 and a half. I don't even, where did I write it down? I didn't even write it on there. While we're right here, just going to say while we're right here. 7 half yards of red, 6 half yards of blue, or you can do 7. You can do whatever you want. Say you want to just grab a yard of a bunch of different fabrics and just cut off however many strips you need for this off of everything. For your whites, the white that became my star points, I needed 1 yard. That's 5 strips off of regular fabric. That's 33 inches of fabric. If you want your white in the middle, that's another half yard. So it's 1.5 yards. Remember, these were cut at 5.5 inches. These are cut at 5. So 1.5 yards if you want the whole center be the same. If not, and you want a different center, again, it's just half a yard. For your 24, oh, that's already there. For 48 of your 5.5 inch squares, you're going to need 6 5.5 inch strips. That's 33 inches. That's 1 yard. That's where your 6 half yard of blues come in, because then you would just cut your strips off of there. Then for your regular blue, it's 1.75 yards to get the rest of your 5-inch blue squares out of that. That's 11 5-inch strips. That's 55 inches worth. That's 1.75 yards. Or you can just use 6 half yards. Then for your red, you need a lot more red. The red is, you need 25-inch strips. 25-inch strips, that's 100 inches. So that's 3 yards. That's 7 half yards of red. And I still had leftover pieces. I already put them on the other side of the room, but I still had leftover squares. So I didn't use everything. I just cut all my scrap pieces up. So I kind of did the math, but I used scraps. So it was a little off for me because some of my pieces were bigger than others, and I guess it made up for the other ones. So you can always use scraps or charm packs. If you have charm packs, you can definitely use charm packs for this. That would be like 7. That'd be like 8 charm packs, I think. You could also make this in any size square. So if you want to do 2.5 inch squares, I think it gives you a 33 or 35 by 35 inch wall hanging. You can use 3-inch squares, 4-inch squares, 5-inch squares. Just know your final, however you want your measurement to be of your final quilt size. Like this is 85 by 85. This is 4.5-inch finished squares. So then you take 4.5 times 19, and you get the 85. I mean, that's for both sides because this is a square. If you wanted to use 3-inch squares, your finished size is 2.5. Then you would get your math from that. If you want to use 4.5, your finished size is 4, then you would do 4 times 19. That's how that works. So you can make this in any size square. I'm done talking. I've been talking enough. Let's go take a look at it because you're like, Tiffany, I want to see the finished quilt. So let's go look. And here we have it. It's all done. Look at that. So it turned out 86 by 86. So I was off, okay? But I did use a scant 1/4 inch the whole entire time. And I think my notes on the other paper that I had is 85.5 by 85.5. So it's a little bit bigger. That's what a scant 1/4 inch will do the whole entire time. But guess what? That's perfectly fine. It's sewn together. That's what matters. So I love the look that it creates with the stars. I gotta say, this one looks amazing. And you can make it in multiple colors, which I'll insert at the end of this video. But you can make it in different colorways. Have fun with it. It's your own. I mean, this could have been all one color. This could be 15 different colors all the way around. Whatever makes you happy, this is the quilt to make you happy with. So I hope you make this quilt. I hope you have fun. And try some of the different designs that I give you ideas for at the end of this video. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!